But let's get into this next topic. This is something that you put on here that I'm sure, there might be a conspiracy here, might not be, but Spain doesn't have any Real Madrid players for the first time ever on the World Cup roster. And you're saying that people think Lamine Yamal might be behind that. Is there any legs to this, Ryan?
So this one Fabian actually brought it to my attention about the whole Lamine Yamal side of things. But yeah, no. So this is the first time in Spanish national team history, ever, that they will not bring a Real Madrid player. It'd be like if the USA basketball team did not have a Lakers player or something. I feel like there's always
a
Lakers
Celtics player or something.
I feel like there's always a Lakers or a Boston Celtic player. Always a Celtic player.
At least one.
Right. But no Dan Hoyson, even though he was rated the best center back in La Liga. He is Spanish, did not make it. Raul Asensio, he's trash. Danny Carvajal, who is the captain, but maybe him being the mole of everything, maybe that turned a lot of people off. Alvaro Carreras, Fran Garcia, Danny Ceballos. He was part of the social experiment Arsenal team. And I think Gonzalo Garcia. So, yeah, there's potential about that. And then you look at some of the players that made it. Gavi, who played 12 games on the year, who plays for Barcelona. He made it on the roster. And then there's a player that Real Madrid sold for $5 million in Gonzalo Garcia. No, not Gonzalo Garcia. A player that they sold for $5 million made the roster. Real Madrid sold it. And then I think back, I'm like, okay, that might have some legs. And then I think Trent Alexander-Arnold didn't even make the England squad. I just think personally that I think that the Real Madrid club is just so toxic personally right now that no one wants anything to do with anything. By the way, the player that they sold for $5 million was Victor Muniz. That's the player they sold for $5 million that they brought. I just don't think anyone wants to do anything with Real Madrid. I think they all want to stay away from Real Madrid players. I think that there is a little bit of toxicity that's going on. And I also think maybe Lamine Yamal has got a little bit of pull in terms of everything. Maybe he's got that. I know Bronny's not in here anymore, but I mean, maybe he's got that LeBron James pull where it's they went to him and it was who are the players that you want? You helped us bring a Euros championship when you were 16. And maybe he's I don't want any of these Real Madrid players. And Fabi and I were kind of talking back and forth during the chat there. Maybe this is going to help the rivalry's already appeared. Maybe it takes another step because Yamal didn't want to bring any Real Madrid players. Maybe they went to him. Maybe I'm reading into something that's not there at all. I may be completely wrong on all of this, but it's just something to think about. Maybe, just maybe, Lamine Yamal purposefully was nah. I'm not bringing any Real Madrid players. I want all Barcelona players.
You want to know what the one thing is that can completely derail a club in the World Cup? Drama. We saw this before. Not that the U.S. men's national team in 22 is equipped to make a World Cup run. We already talked about that. But you can argue in large part that one of the reasons why they fell down the stairs the way that they did had to do with drama. It is the one thing that can completely tear apart a locker room or a clubhouse or a dressing room, as we talk about, and I got to get my terminology right, but it's the one thing that could absolutely tear a club or a team or a nation down. And it's the one thing that if I am the manager of an international side and I realize that this is an opportunity we only get once every 4 years, the one thing that I don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole is the Real Madrid dressing room. Yeah. I don't want anything to do with what has gone on in there, what's transpired, whether it be the fighting, whether it be the leech, whether it be the owner of the operation who has completely lost his cookies and completely lost his mind. It is a group that in a lot of ways you can tell that there are cancers in that clubhouse and in that dressing room that could absolutely affect this international team. So from a Spanish football perspective, keeping Lamine Yamal out of this conversation, if you're good enough to play and if you're good enough to contribute, you should, regardless of what club you're on, be able to make this roster. But something tells me that it has just gotten to such a certain extent in that dressing room that there's nothing that Spain wants to do with that group because, listen, there are some countries, and the U.S. is like this, and in other sports. You got to think about like basketball. Yes, we have, we left Kawhi Leonard off of the last gold medal
Jaylen
team.
Brown.
Like, we left Kawhi Leonard off of that team.
Well,
who
no, technically Kawhi was on it, and then he left. He was technically on it.
Okay.
He was,
but
Kawhi
anyways,
Kawhi was like, yeah, I'm tired. I'm going home.
He wasn't there. Like Ant-Man wasn't on the team. Cat wasn't on the team.
Ant-Man was on the team.
Oh, Ant-Man was on the team. Cat wasn't on the team. Sorry.
No, he was not.
Like, there are other examples of top American players who did not make that team, and they did
Brunson.
just fine and won a gold medal. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and there are other examples there too.
Cade.
And they still won a gold medal.
Coming off 24 wins. Cade Cunningham.
Yeah. But, like, why? Like, Steve Kerr even said in these meetings with these guys, he goes, listen, not all of you are going to play. Like, there are guys that are not even here who very much deserve a spot here, but they're not here because they don't fit the same way. They don't play the same way. They don't have the same camaraderie everybody in this room does. Not every country can afford to do that. Not every country can afford to leave players off the table who would otherwise be the best player on any other roster in the world. Take me the number one player that's left off the roster in Spain and put him on the U.S. men's national team. Automatically, we're having a different conversation about, how good this roster is.
All of a sudden, we have Dan Hoyson?
Yes.
You're telling me we're going to have two elite center backs? Let's go. Well, I shouldn't say Chris Richards elite, but two playable center backs.
Exactly. But that's where Spain is, so they can afford to do that. So, I can maybe partially buy into the idea that there's a conspiracy here and that they would let club affairs affect who they bring onto the roster because, again, as Spain, you can maybe afford to leave a few players off and still be okay and still maybe go compete for a World Cup. So it's all up in the air. And again, digging and trying to like almost create something out of nothing. That's what we do. Like, that's why we're here. I don't know how legitimate it is that Lamine Yamal made those decisions, but if Spanish football said, listen, we want nothing to do with the circus that's going on at Real Madrid, I would not blame them one iota, one little bit.
And that's what I think it is. And Alex brings up another good quote in the TikTok chat. I'm not looking for the best players. I'm looking for the right ones. Herb Brooks.
Yes.
That's, Nate, despite he wears a Soviet Union jersey, even though he really loves that movie and team. So just putting it out there again. No, I think
it's like you ever seen the double quotes where it's like Herb Brooks and then they quote it again and then they put it. Yeah, that's like Herb Brooks quote Mauricio Pochettino.
It's
like said it in a press conference.
It's like the Wayne Gretzky quote, but then Michael Scott puts it over. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, aka then Michael Scott does it. Yeah, no, it's
Michael Scott.
I think when you have that many superstars in a nation with just so much talent, I thought the basketball example was great. You're going to have players that are really good snubbed. Like, you could take the French national team, the players that did not make it, them, you could make the B team and they would probably still make a semifinal or quarterfinal.
Yeah.
Probably quarterfinal. Like, that is just where certain nations are at in their soccer development. I don't think people realize this yet, but we've been playing soccer for like 30 years in America. We've been playing soccer for 30 years. And other nations have been playing for like, I don't know, 100. Like, we are well behind everyone because we didn't give a damn about the sport until the 90s. We didn't have a true league until the mid-90s. So that league's even new. Whereas the Premier League, La Liga, they're going on 100 years plus, I'm pretty sure. Like, it takes time to develop it. Like, if I'm looking at France, if I'm looking at Spain in terms of, like, basketball, the Spanish had the Gasols, and now they suck. Like, they had superstars in the NBA, and now the nation's horrible. Argentina, Manu Ginobili. You would think Argentina would be unbelievable at basketball because they had that superstar. And then that just goes by the wayside. That's why I still think Serbia, once Jokic leaves, nothing's going to happen of it because of they love so much about soccer. The difference in France is they have a lot of players coming. They have a lot of immigrants from Africa that come in that want to play other sports. Shout out Wemby, who I found out yesterday is actually Congolese, which is from the country of Congo. He comes from that descent. You're telling me Kylian Mbappe is French? He's from Cameroon. But when I look at this when I look at expectations from this team, and when I look at the Spanish side, yeah, they have their expectations, win a damn World Cup. Our expectations, can you just make a quarterfinals? Maybe a round of 16? Could you do that for us? Like, they are way further in their soccer development, in their soccer history than we ever will. In Spain, they play pickup soccer in the streets. In America, we play pickup basketball and pickup football. We don't play pickup soccer a little bit, but more times than not, you're going to get a pickup basketball game than a pickup soccer game. So they have a right to be upset. Do I think Yamal really had anything to do with it? No. I just think the circus that was Real Madrid, no one wants to touch it. No one wants to be. The only reason Arda Güler is still there or is on our World Cup roster is because Turkey don't have anybody outside of him. So